I'm not as pretty or like attractive, and transparently there's nothing I can do about that.
Most black women are drop dead gorgeous, but then there's black women that look like me that aren't drop dead gorgeous.
It's not that I think I'm ugly, it's I basically know I'm ugly. And I agree with everyone. I am, quite hideous. But should I hate it?
People really be feeling like you're not pretty enough for their respect or kindness. I swear, if I didn't look the way I looked, I would not get treated the way I get treated.
Being unattractive is so depressing. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. It's just really depressing. Like,
some people are ugly as and y'all aren't helping by pretending that isn't the case. Wait, whoa, slow down, because there's nothing wrong with not being conventionally attractive.
Let's talk about being ugly, or at least thinking that you are. This is something that I've seen a lot of people relate to online. The idea of beauty itself has been shaped by patriarchal conditioning. We socialize under a patriarchal mindset, which is why for most of these conversations, people that come on here to talk about how ugly they are, they say it in relation to, I've never been on a date, nobody has ever asked me out, I have never been in a relationship, or something like this.
Where are the men that like mid-looking black women? Because yes, most black women are drop dead gorgeous, but then there's black women that look like me that aren't drop dead gorgeous. We still need love though. I've been single for 16 years. 16 fucking years, you guys.
By some certain beauty standards, that girl may not be your typical beautiful person, but that's perfectly fine. We would place so much importance on beauty sometimes, it's really unnecessary. My problem with this whole conversation though is the fact that she is at that point in her life thinking about herself that way, and she's clearly making it known in that very same conversation. So this is not just an I don't care, whatever kind of situation. She's actually including it in the conversation while she's trying to find this man of hers. She's actually kind of treating it like, I know there's this thing that I also don't like about myself, but is there anybody else that doesn't mind? And I honestly feel like that is the worst time for you to try to be getting into a relationship, because people can be very manipulative. You don't want to do that then.
So can we talk about how much being considered ugly when you're younger has an impact on how you date when you're older? I personally never had any romantic experiences until college, and it was literally one of the worst experiences of my life. This guy was literally so terrible to me. Not only was he ignorant and racist, but he was just a bad boyfriend. He didn't know how to treat a woman, and I settled for it because I never had anyone express interest in me before him. And despite him being a bad boyfriend, I stayed with him until he broke up with me. And at that point, I then proceeded to basically beg for him back because I literally did not think there would ever be anyone else out there that would love me the way he did. And I was really depressed for a long time because I didn't know my worth, and I was putting all of my worth into male validation. If you are a young woman who's struggling with self-confidence because, you might not be as conventionally attractive as the girls around you, just know that your time will come, and know that you don't need a man for validation. Be confident, be yourself, and the right person will find you.
I understand that some days feeling confident or beautiful is not realistic. Sometimes you just want to sit with the fact that you don't feel that way that day. But you must still show up like you belong. It's no reason for you to shrink yourself. And I feel like one of the most problematic things in this conversation is using men's desire as a measuring stick. And I understand the need to be wanted or just appreciated, honestly. I understand all that, but it's only so much you can do. Most of that is actually out of your control, and that's why I think decentering beauty is very important.
Beauty robs you of your sense of self in two ways. Number one, it equates who you are with how you look. So your ideal self is someone who looks a certain way rather than someone who is a certain being, which you already are. And number two, exactly, you are always relegated to being worse than your ideal future self. So then when are you ever allowed to exist? As you grow older and you look older, people say you don't look yourself. If you gain weight, you don't look yourself. If you look tired, you don't look yourself. So then who are you? Surely you always look yourself? No, because beauty is the alienation of the self from the self.
There are people in the comment section telling her, you're not ugly, you just need to do your hair, you just need a better skincare routine. And I get all that because, yes, they can help you feel so much better about yourself. Just a quick change of an outfit can actually boost your confidence. I get that. But sometimes I think we forget that feeling pretty and being pretty are two very different things. So while all of that can actually help, it's not always the case, because sometimes it's not necessarily that I'm not pretty, it's that I don't feel pretty. And that's why I try to acknowledge anybody that says they're ugly, even though to me and literally anybody else passing, they are far from it.
being unattractive it's just really depressing. Being unattractive has made my self-esteem really low. It's made my self-worth really low. I don't get as many opportunities as other people get. And then just like the whole relationship factor piece to it. Like, I really, really want to be in a relationship, like, more than anything in the world. That's the one thing that's been missing from my life for a really long time. And I just feel like it's never gonna happen for me. One, because of where I live, but two, because I'm not like conventionally pretty. My body is not tea. I just feel like I don't look good. And to just like carry that with you every single day is really hard. To feel like you're not worthy. It just sucks.
And I know we're all looking at that girl in disbelief, wondering what's going on, because we're all confused. But the thing is, most cases, there are actually experiences that validate why someone may feel that way. And somebody said, for context sake, she actually lives in Miami. Which, according to the last Miami girl we did in the previous video about the same topic, the beauty standards seem to be quite impossible.
Miami is colorist. I don't know why everyone's so shocked about all the videos coming out. Not only is Miami colorist, and that's coming from a light-skinned black girl who's telling you this, but also Miami is extremely fat phobic. Let me break this down for y'all. Miami is surgery central. Everyone comes down here to get their surgeries, okay?
But I also hope that you don't let that dictate how you go about the rest of your life, because you can actually live a fulfilling life, just like everybody else.
When someone says they're not conventionally attractive, you know the videos. I understand that it's unkind to invalidate their experiences, to say like, well, that's all in your head, you just need to be more confident, da-da-da-da-da. But I think it is equally, if not more, unkind to validate their thinking that those experiences are inevitable because of their looks. First of all, and I'm not saying this to be nice because I'm not that nice of a person, but you'll see people make these videos and they'll be like, I'm conventionally unattractive, I'm so ugly. And you look at them and you're like, you're average. Then you'll see someone be like, I'm average. And it's like, no, you're pretty. Like, you're a pretty girl. And it always blows me that when someone says, actually, I do think you're attractive in the comments, then other people jump in like, don't listen to them. You're not attractive. Just like me, our lives will never get better. They don't understand. Da, 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 da. Like, actually, no, I do think it's probably good for them to hear that different people view them differently than how they see themselves. So first of all, there's something to work out there, you know? Is it the context that you're in? Like, I used to think I was very ugly. I grew up with all white people, all white school, all white neighborhood. Like, is it that you're comparing yourself to like Instagram models as the barometer of like what's pretty and what's not? So that's one piece for some people, but there are people, I admit, who don't have looks that are valued by like large swaths of society, right? Like, you would look at them and you'd be like, oh, they're not as attractive. That doesn't mean that their negative experiences are the only kinds of experiences they can and will have. No doubt that when people find you unattractive, sometimes they value you less and they treat you really poorly. Not trying to argue with that. And being unattractive can make finding a partner and finding a relationship harder. I understand that as well. But you also have to kind of snap back and like look around the world and realize people who are not conventionally attractive still go on dates, they still get married, they still have families. And that doesn't mean they haven't had negative experiences or that it potentially wasn't hard for them to make that happen. But it does mean that people who look like you have the life that you want to have. But you'll never have that if you resign yourself to thinking your current life is your only life. I don't worry about people who come on here and are just like, I'm not conventionally attractive and I'm really upset about it, and like, here's why. Like, that's so normal. That's such rational thinking. I'm concerned about people that come on here and say, I'm not conventionally attractive. I will never be loved, never be happy. It's just not going to happen for me. And I have resigned myself to it. I've made peace with it. Like, girl, no. The thing about beauty is that it's in the eye of the beholder. For most people, there are people out there that will find you attractive. You may not have run into them in your hometown yet. That doesn't mean they're not out there. It's a very big world. And if you decide to stop trying, to stop living in a way where you're open to those kinds of connections, then yeah, you're never gonna find it. It absolutely could happen for you. It also could not happen, right? Like, love and relationships, that's like the luck of the draw. There are plenty of people who are considered conventionally attractive that really struggle with finding a partner as well. So I'm not saying your experiences are invalid. I'm not being like, you're just the only one standing in your own way. What I am saying is that
people who look just like you have full lives, romantic or otherwise. So don't tap out yet.
Another part of this conversation that sort of pushes back on the idea of wanting to constantly feel beautiful is the idea of body neutrality. Because sometimes, let's be honest, body positivity can feel like a tiring performance. Sometimes. There are actually times when it's enough to just know that even if my nose is wider than what the beauty standard is supposed to be, it is doing its job. I can breathe.
As well-meaning as body positivity is, I think it can sometimes reach a point of being toxic positivity. Like, there's so much pressure to be positive about your body and you slay all the time and be confident and think you're beautiful all the time. And that's great if you can manage it, but a lot of people can't. Like, a lot of people simply do not feel beautiful all the time, and they're only lying to themselves if they say that they do. The cool thing about body neutrality is that it focuses only on the things that are just indisputably factual. So if you're going and looking in the mirror every day and you hate your arms, instead of saying these are fat, hideous, ugly arms, or saying these are the most amazing model arms I've ever seen in my life, you can just say these are human arms. They can pick stuff up and put stuff down. They sure are human arms. It seems so basic, but it can be so helpful to your mentality because eventually you train yourself to stop being so negative, even when you can't find it in yourself to be overly positive.
Philosophically, the best thing that you can do for your self-esteem is accept the way that you look, not in a I'm so beautiful all the time, I'm beautiful no matter what, but in a way of like, I am ugly sometimes, and that is okay. Like, it is not a moral failing that I am ugly sometimes. It doesn't mean that I am inherently ugly if I look busted sometimes. I think something that we do, and maybe I'm projecting here, but something that I do is I look at myself and I'm like, oh, sometimes I'm really hot and sometimes I'm really ugly. The true answer of how pretty, beautiful I am, whatever, is somewhere in the middle. When I don't think that's true, I think that the answer is that I'm all of those things. I'm ugly sometimes, I'm beautiful sometimes. And it has nothing to do with like how much makeup I'm wearing. When you try and like frame self-acceptance in a way of like, I need to be able to find myself beautiful all the time, that's just an impossible task. And I feel like it's the paradigm that we've been trying to push since like the 2010s, you know, like the Dove campaigns and stuff like that. Like, you're always beautiful no matter what. And it's like, no, like I'm actually not. Like sometimes I look bad. And the world keeps spinning. You don't owe the world, and especially you don't owe yourself being beautiful all the time and perceiving yourself as beautiful all the time. When you try and set a standard of being a beautiful person, especially a beautiful woman, you imprison yourself to a lifetime of maintenance, of 1,000 different appointments and procedures that you always need to have done, when you could just allow yourself to be mid sometimes and just become cool with the fact that sometimes you look worse than others. Sorry, like the world will keep spinning if you look bad sometimes. Like, there are enough baddies to go around. It doesn't need to be you.
You don't necessarily need to be beautiful to be worthy of a good time, a good life. And that is a part of body neutrality that I actually like. It's sustainable in a sense that I am not relying on high self-esteem moments to feel good about the rest of my day. And again, this is not to kick out body positivity altogether. That you need to have that as well, but they should be about.
Some people are ugly as shit, and y'all aren't helping by pretending that isn't the case. Wait, whoa, slow down, because there's nothing wrong with not being conventionally attractive. In fact, I'm sure a lot of y'all would say I'm ugly as hell, but that's cool because that's not even what the video is about. Y'all have to stop treating being quote unquote ugly or any other manner of not being conventionally attractive like it's some disease you have to convince people they're not the victim of. See, because when people come online and they make a video detailing their experience as, in their own words, growing up ugly, y'all will go into those comments, and though I'm sure your heart is in the right place, y'all will start lying and damn near trying to gaslight the original creator of said video. Despite the fact that throughout the creator's entire life, they have been mocked, dehumanized, and bullied for being quote unquote ugly, y'all be in those comments trying to convince them that they've secretly been a supermodel the entire time and that everyone's just lying to them, I guess. And by doing this, you're just reinforcing the idea that beauty is the most important thing to strive for. And the negativity that comes along with that social norm is what brings about the dehumanization of ugly people in the first place. How about instead of rejecting that creator's experience, we affirm it? And then we instead emphasize the fact that beauty, attractiveness, and other similar superficial qualities are not the most important things that a human being needs to be striving for. How attractive you are doesn't define how good you are as a person. It doesn't define how accomplished you are. It's something that frankly should be worthless and hold no real weight. But one of the reasons that being pretty is such a big deal in today's society is because y'all are so afraid to be ugly. The only reason it's treated as a curse that unlucky people are stricken with is because y'all made it that way. What we need to focus on and what this really needs to be is an anti-bullying campaign. Because I'm gonna tell you a secret. Y'all are in those comment sections trying to convince people who have been treated like shit their entire life because they're not conventionally attractive that they're actually beautiful. You're not doing anything. You're not even addressing the real issue at hand here, which is the dehumanization of people who are not conventionally attractive. Not everyone has to be cute, and cuteness is not something that should be nearly as important as y'all have made it out to be.
Most of those girls are actually not even ugly. They're average human beings like most of us are. But I feel like these days we're constantly using extremes. It's either one or the other. You're ugly or you're pretty or you're beautiful. It seems like there's no in between. It isn't always like average kind of triggers some people. Even though that literally means you look like most people. What is wrong with looking like most people? There's so much importance placed on beauty that it can actually be dehumanizing. He's right. So it's not necessarily that people are just waking up to say, I am ugly, I am ugly, I am ugly, I don't like myself. You can actually see from how these people are being treated.
When your plug mean to you cause you ugly, oh my God, bro. People really be feeling like you not pretty enough for their respect or kindness. I swear if I didn't look the way I looked, I would not get treated the way I get treated.
How do you find a face, your own face, beautiful when everyone else considers it to be ugly? It's not that I think I'm ugly, it's I basically know I'm ugly. How, you may ask? Well, when a boy spits on you and calls you ugly, that's how you know. When the boys in school would ask you out as a joke during the Truth or Dare games, that's how you know. When the mean girls would ask you to your face, why's your nose so big? That's how you know. When you'd be the only one sitting alone at the table while everyone else has a date for prom, that's how you know. When you're so ugly that people feel the need to come and tell you, you know.
I'm not an attractive person. I'm not as pretty or like attractive, and transparently there's nothing I can do about that, and people really like to use that against me. I'm literally prepping my skin with fucking tears. Like, why do people keep putting pictures of my fat in my comment sections? Do you think I don't know I exist with that? I'm just exhausted by the constant conversation about what I look like. Like, it's just like, enough. Like, we get it. I don't expect you to understand, but to have thousands of people criticize your appearance every day, it fucks you up. I'm just saying. My whole life, I have not been considered beautiful. And I am aware that I'm not. And it's not easy being a beauty influencer who's not beautiful. People try to break me down for anything they can, but specifically my appearance. Do you know what that fucking does to me, or do you probably don't even give a shit what it does to me because you don't treat me like a human being? Like, y'all find things wrong with me that I would never have even noticed. I just don't get why we're still attacking people for their appearance in 2025.
And how cruel people are for the simple act of simply being born as an unattractive woman.
There's people that are dealing with that constantly, so you can understand why they're not very receptive of your, oh, but you're beautiful compliments on social media, because it does not reflect their reality. It's really hard to believe that when you cannot even be afforded basic respect. And this is not to say that you should not compliment people. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying do it, but do it genuinely. Do it genuinely, and also make sure that your life in reality is more importantly reflecting whatever you're typing online. And one last reminder, you do not need to be pretty to experience life fully.
I deserve to be softer on myself, and I'm going to try to spend the rest of my life loving my face, even though there are going to be difficult days. Do I hate this face? Yes. But do I want to waste my life hating it? No.